Hey, what's up, Slunts? Joker here, and welcome to my top 5 games of 2014 so far. As it sits right now, it's September. We've pretty much gotten through the first half of the year and the summer gaming drought, which we see just about every year, and the holiday gaming season is upon us, finally getting some good quality games, because, to be honest, making this top 5 list was actually kind of hard, because this year for games has been pretty shit. Let's just be honest right there. There have been a lot of bad games, a lot of letdowns, and just really not a very good quality lineup so far this year. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the new consoles are out, and third-party developers didn't really have access to that hardware early on in its development phase, enough for them to have developed content for it to come out at launch and in the following months thereafter. So now we're starting to see this content finally trickling in now. We saw a little bit earlier this year, you got Titanfall and Watch Dogs, games that people were expecting to come out on the next gen, people were looking forward to. But really that's about it. There's really not much more out there, and really not enough exclusive content either. And when I say exclusive, I mean exclusive to next-gen consoles and PC. There's too many games being put out on the now current-gen consoles, PC, and the last-gen consoles, which is really odd, because I remember, back when, 360 and PS3 came out, the PS2 and Xbox were pretty much extinct the moment those came out, with the exception of, a few titles, maybe a Call of Duty game, or, like sports games, like Madden, FIFA, NBA, things like that. Those were typically, for the first year, they were developed on both consoles, and then the following year they were gone. But this time around, we're seeing a lot of games still being pushed out on the old hardware, and that's something I'd like to see them move away from, so that we can start getting better-looking games, better-performing games on the PC, because that's where I primarily play. I do also own a PS4, and most of this list is going to be PC-centric, although most of them are coming out on both systems. I play on the PC. I got a PS4 for exclusives, and, that's pretty much it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to the top 5 games so far this year in 2014. Number 5 on this list, and it is at the bottom of my list, and honestly, it's because I had to scrape the bottom of the barrel, really, to get a top 5 complete, is Watch Dogs. Really, really a big disappointment, big letdown, I think, for current-gen console owners as well as PC users. Very poor performance at the beginning on the PC, a lot of stuttering, very high video memory requirements, and just very, very bad performance overall, and still to this day, stuttering quite a bit. I just had a friend message me the other day saying this game is stuttering like shit, do you know what to do? I was like, nope, that's Watch Dogs, bro, deal with it, or don't play it. Very big letdown, and also, even if it did perform well, the story and the gameplay was all still pretty pants. I mean, it was just a basic cover shooter when we were promised this big hacking extravaganza. It really just fell flat on pretty much all fronts. Graphically, story, character, combat, everything pretty much fell flat. The hacking even kind of fell flat and felt really forced and just generic. It didn't feel that innovative and awesome. It was pretty weak. It was fun for about a day, and then after that, just shit. And then number 4, I'm going to have to go with Sniper Elite 3, which I still have yet to complete, but it is a good game. And, once again, I'm, having to choose games that I haven't even finished yet for this top 5, because it's such a shit year for games. But Sniper Elite 3 was definitely better than Watch Dogs, so that's why I put it above it. And I do plan to finish it sometime, co-op with my buddy. We haven't really gotten around to playing it. But, great single player, great, fun multiplayer. It's okay, not really amazing multiplayer. But to be honest, I get the Sniper Elite games because I like the co-op and I like the sniping and that shooting gallery aspect of it, and it's just a lot of fun. So just a great fun shooter all the way around. Number 3 on the list, I'm going to have to go with South Park, Stick of Destiny. Or Stick of Truth. South Park: The Stick of Truth. Not a game I would particularly play normally. Not to say I wouldn't play RPGs, but more of that JRPG style with the turn-based combat, which I was, kind of a stranger to, and now I've actually really enjoyed with that game, as well as the number 1 game on this list, which I'll get to in a moment, although I have a feeling if you watch my channel, you probably already know what that is. But, South Park, definitely the best game so far, from the South Park series that they've tried to transition into the gaming market. It was just fantastic. They really captured that entire thing of, it feels like you're in a South Park episode, and that is what essentially people want. whenever they're transitioning a movie or a TV show, to the gaming universe, is you want to feel like you're part of that world. You don't want to feel like some tacked on crap game that they just made to cash in. This game felt like it took a lot of time to develop. It had good writing, good art style, just great all around, and I couldn't stop playing it. And I would play it again. I might actually play it again pretty soon, if I find some spare time. Number 2 on the list, first-person shooter, which some people kind of had swept under the rug and not really thought would be too much because of recent outings from the franchise, but Wolfenstein, the New Order. I had expected big things, actually, because leading up to it, like some of the cutscenes and gameplay I saw, I was like, I really think this is going to be a top-notch shooter. And then when it came out and I started seeing all the reviews trickling, and I was very, very happy that they had returned to their glory, really, because Wolfenstein 3D was really like my indoctrination into PC gaming when I was just a fucking wee tot. I remember playing on my dad's old computer, his old IBM, playing Wolfenstein 3D off of fucking DOS with like a 5 1/4 inch disc, floppy disk or whatever. I remember playing that and just absolutely loving it back then. And so to see the franchise really come back with a resurgence, and hopefully they continue that into the future, because I would love to see more what Bethesda can do with this franchise, because New Order was just great. Great graphics, great story, great voice acting, good combat, a lot of fun. Really, really fun. And that's what you want from like one of those classic arena style shooters without it being an arena game, multiplayer game. But and if they do bring in multiplayer in the future, I don't know how I would feel about it. I think it's great as a single player on its own, and I'd kind of like to see them stick with that. I don't want it to become like Dead Space, where it was like, oh, we're just going to add in this little bit of multiplayer, and then we're just going to make the whole fucking game co-op, and it's going to just become a shitfest. I'd rather than take their time developing the Wolfenstein games and hopefully put out a quality title maybe every 2 or 3 years. That would be awesome. I'd love to see that from the Wolfenstein franchise. But rounding off the list now, coming to number 1. Number 1 on my list for top 5 games so far in 2014, Divinity Original Sin, PC exclusive. If you haven't checked it out, you absolutely need to. I had a video overview of the gameplay on this channel. You can go back and check it out. I also mentioned it in my summer gaming guide for games you need to be playing this summer, along with The Last of Us, which I left off this list, not because it's not good, but because I don't consider it a game of 2014, really. It's just, been re-released on the PS4. I would consider that a 2013 game, so that's why I haven't mentioned it. But I guess honorable mentions for Last of Us Remastered. It is definitely worth playing, and definitely worth picking up a PS4 just to play that. But back to Divinity, hands down the best RPG I've ever played. And I don't throw titles like that out there easily, lightly. I just, it's fantastic. Great story, good character development. I really like the fact that there's no hand-holding in the game, and you really kind of have to figure things out in yourself and read through, like, sometimes lines and lines and lines of text, which might sound boring, but in the universe of the game, it's a lot of fun because you just want to learn more about the lore and the people in the game, because it just brings it all to life. It's almost like the difference between, like, if like Mass Effect would be like watching a movie, whereas Divinity would be like reading a book. Because, and some people say, oh, the book is always better. Well, it's probably because it is. The book is always better. Yes, the movie is awesome, it's shiny, it looks hot, it's gorgeous, all that stuff, special effects, blah, blah, blah. But the book is, if you really want the heart, the good story, and a really deep story and good character development, that's where Divinity shines, is on all that stuff, because the whole world just feels alive, from all the, everything you're learning about the backstory of everything going on in the cities, and, the combat turn-based, which is something I'm normally not a fan of, but, this game, it's just good. I can't stop playing it. I've, almost completed the single player all the way through, and I plan to play it again. I've got quite a few playthroughs. That's why I haven't finished, because I have like 4 or 5 playthroughs with different builds and playing with different people on co-op, so I haven't really been able to stay on one track and just fucking power through and finish the game. But I've easily got over 100 hours into that game, and I plan on spending several hundred more over the coming years, because that game has a lot of replay value. But just overall, definitely check it out if you haven't already. You can get it on G2A, fairly cheap, like around $20. On Steam, it's like $40. So if you are going to get it, go to G2A. I'll put a link down in the description below. It's a G2A where you can get that. I do have a reference link, so it helps me out. If you guys use it, I would appreciate that. But that's going to wrap up my top 5 games of 2014. So to just recaps, really, we got Watch Dogs, Sniper Elite 3, South Park, Stick of Truth, Wolfenstein the New Order, and finally Divinity Original Sin. So, if you're looking for some games to play, go check out these 5, except for maybe Watch Dogs. I'd kind of leave that really off the list of games that you need to play. Maybe if it's on like a Steam sale or something at some point, or if you can get it for like maybe $10, I would say it's worth it, but not for full price, not for $60. No way in hell. No. Just no. Too buggy, not a good enough story, not enough reason to be playing it, especially with GTA 5 coming out and games like that. So just avoid Watch Dogs if you can, unless it's really, really cheap. But that's going to wrap it up. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Twitter at JokerSlumped. Also, you can always get back to my channel by just easily going to jokerslumped.com. I'll catch you guys next time.